Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! Good morning, Descendants of Zombies Universe. It is so nice to see everybody subscribing to this YouTube channel because honestly, I never ever thought that I would be at this point where I would have thousands of people subscribe to a YouTube channel that I launched out of this office. I shoot videos out of this office independently. I don't professionally produce these videos whatsoever because with me, what you see is what you get. And it is honestly the greatest honor of my life, sitting behind this podcast microphone every day of my life for what I hope is going to be the rest of my life, talking about Descendants of Zombies, because I really do love talking about Descendants of Zombies. And just knowing you guys are out there, you're hitting the like button, you're hitting the subscribe button all the time, constantly. It is the greatest honor of my life, because I know I have some of the biggest fans of Descendants of Zombies who watch these videos, and because it's the greatest honor of my life to be here with each and every one of you, I've never wanted to let you down. I've always wanted to come through with my thoughts on Descendants of Zombies because I, too, am just as excited as each and every one of you about Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland upcoming summer 2026. Everybody is excited about it. I think that summer 2026 is going to create far more memories than we have ever seen before for our Descendants, because Descendants of Zombies, of course, has brought us all together. We are the best of friends because of Descendants of Zombies, and that is something honorable to me, is that how so many beautiful friendships have been created and have happened because of Descendants of Zombies. Perhaps you're a fan of Red, perhaps you're a fan of Bridget, perhaps you're a fan of Chloe, perhaps you're a fan of Descendant stars of the past, such as Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson. Of course, the original cast is what got it started for me. Dove Cameron's portrayal of the character Mal, of how fearless she was, how beautiful she was, how talented she was. I really thought Dove Cameron was something special. And she had something special that she really put on display every single time that she either stepped onto the set of Liv and Maddie or eventually Descendants, because I think Descendants was really the revered role for Dove Cameron to have done. The role of Mal really brought Dove Cameron to life in a way that I don't think anybody else or anything else ever brought Dove Cameron to life before. But, I mean, the fan support for Dove Cameron was truly unbelievable and unparalleled to anything that I've ever seen before in my life. And I say this because we have, fans of celebrities like Miley Cyrus, Ashley Tisdale that find their way into the conversation all the time. Unquestionably, Miley Cyrus had millions of fans. But I never saw the fan support for Miley Cyrus years ago, being the biggest Miley Cyrus fan in the world, that I did for Dove Cameron. I mean, millions of people instantly fell in love with Dove Cameron without any explanation, because, and it was so obvious to see why everybody loved Dove Cameron too, because of just how beautiful she was, how incredibly talented she was, the overflowing of emotion. I know a lot of people love these stars because of how emotionally connected they are with fans. And, as nice as that is to see, there's just something about seeing people like Kylie Cantrell and Dove Cameron having a broken heart that really has always affected me. I think it has a lot to do with the criticism they receive, and obviously it has a lot to do with the profound success that people like Dove Cameron and Kylie Cantrell have seen all the time. So I wanted to create something special for people like Dove Cameron and Kylie Cantrell, because it really did break my heart when I saw Dove Cameron being victimized by all this criticism, and I saw Kylie Cantrell just last year, I believe, posting videos on TikTok of herself crying. Obviously, Kylie Cantrell is very in touch with the Red character. Descendants has obviously meant a lot to Kylie Cantrell, and it really broke my heart when I saw Kylie Cantrell crying all the time about her political point of view, her relationship somehow finding its way into a conversation. And I'm sure that a lot of people saw themselves in situations that Kylie Cantrell was caught up within last year, of course, with her relationship, having to do with her political point of view. The thing about a girl is really smart. So Kylie Cantrell obviously made decisions based off what happened to her in her own life, and I think that Kylie Cantrell is somebody who really went for what she wanted. The same thing can be said about Dove Cameron. You can't really hold somebody down or hold somebody back from going out and achieving more and wanting to achieve more. You guys remember The Rock years ago, Dwayne Johnson, how he was in all these movies after he was a professional wrestler and his professional wrestling career took off? Well, The Rock made a decision at a very young age, at 25 years old, that he wanted to achieve more. His wrestling career had exceeded to the heights of unprecedentedness, and he wanted to go out and achieve more, so he got more opportunities than Hollywood offered to him for The Scorpion King and The Game Plan and all these great movies that The Rock was in. So he went out to achieve more. And that's pretty much what Kylie Control wanted to do. Kylie Control just wanted to go out and achieve more with her own life. Dove Cameron wanted to go out and achieve more with her own life. So everybody who was a critic online found whatever they could to say negative about Dove Cameron or Kylie Control. And I'm here to kind of take away that pressure from people like Kylie Control and Dove Cameron, but I can't do that without your guys' help. So if you would be so kind to hit my subscribe button, hit my like button, I would love you for forever. Those of you who have been subscribed to this YouTube channel for a very long time know that I have the biggest crushes in the world on Kylie and Ruby because of how talented they are and how you can give Ruby Rose Turner any song in the world of God's creation and she can sing it. She can really bring it to life in a way that nobody else would have ever been able to bring a song such as Life is Sweeter When You Wear It to Life. And I give Ruby a profound amount of credit. And to be honest with you guys, I'm really going to miss Ruby Rose Turner because of just how beautiful she was, how incredibly talented she was, how she was overflowing with emotion. You know, you could step into any room having to do PR for Descendants, and the one with the biggest smile on their face was always and forever to me Ruby Rose Turner. I remember watching Ruby for the very first time, flashing back to the premiere of Coop and Cammy Ask the World. I believe that was back in around 2015, 2016. And I remember how Ruby was just so incredibly honored to play the role of Cammy on Coop and Cammy Ask the World. The show was very short-lived. It was a show that obviously ended long before its time. And I say this because Ruby was just so full of life, so full of potential. And I think that Disney really missed out on a lot of opportunities with Ruby. So when the opportunity arose for Ruby to don the role of Bridget and offer us an explanation as to why the Queen of Hearts turned out the way she did, I was incredibly excited. So when news was first released on the Descendants social media platforms that Ruby was coming in to don the role of Bridget, I was incredibly excited. And I watched The Rise of Red because of Ruby, just as I watched the original Descendants because of Dove Cameron. The thing about me was, with me, what you see is what you get, and I was incredibly supportive of people like Dove Cameron, Ruby Rose Turner, regardless of how other people felt about it, because I know there are people out there that will forever and always prefer the original cast of Descendants. And while I think that is awesome, I think also, too, as the times change, we as fans have to change with the times, regardless of how difficult that may be. Because I thought it was really cool how they changed Descendants, really. The vibe, got better, the music got better, the story was very compelling. I was very interested in The Rise of Red. While everybody found everything they possibly could on their YouTube channels and for their YouTube videos to criticize, I was the guy who was very supportive of Ruby Rose Turner and Kylie Control, and I've been forever supportive of them. If there was one guy on YouTube who loved the Rise of Red franchise, it was this guy, because of just how full of life it was, how exuberant it was, how energetic it was. I think every single song on the Rise of Red soundtrack was just so full of life, and it really gave me incentive to create. It really inspired me to create a lot of videos for people who were looking for incentive, who were looking for encouragement. And I think that Descendants: The Rise of Red offered us that encouragement about how much closer a dream actually is out there to somebody. Because a dream, I know, seems like forever and a day away, and it will never ever happen for you. But as I've always said, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII and Cloud, and I think that Cloud's line of how everybody has a light, and eventually everybody finds that light, is truer than ever before. Because of Descendants, everybody is going out and trying to find that light, regardless of what that dream is. Perhaps you have a dream of joining the cheerleading squad. Perhaps you have a dream of being a part of the actual Descendants cast. And even if your dream seems really far out there, every dream that somebody has is achievable. And I forever and always wanted you to hold on to that dream. Because I went through high school, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. But I always believed that even if you had 2 or 3 really good friends that could help you make sense of your own life, then you had a lot to hold on to and a lot to be thankful for. I had 2 or 3 really good friends. One of my friends was a guy who loved music, and he wanted more than anything else in this lifetime to be a member of an indie band and become famous overnight. And while his dream felt to be very unrealistic, eventually he started up his own band, he was able to release his own EP, so even though his dream fully didn't become a reality, at least he got to experience what could happen. And then I had another guy friend, his name was Michael, we played a lot of video games, and of course that's the reason why you see all those video games behind me, because of him and our understanding of video games like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Super Mario. I was a really big fan of original Super Mario games like Nintendo 64, Mario 64, Mario Kart, Mario RPG, so we kind of really hit it off. All it really takes is just an interest in something, and some of the most beautiful friendships of all time happen. Like how, you and your friends are fans of Descendants, and you've been friends because of Descendants for forever. And I think that is really cool, how some of those beautiful friendships have happened because of Descendants and Zombies, and how you felt inspired by it. Honestly, I think it's really cool how a girl can fall in love with anybody, can fall in love even with a zombie now, and how Disney is promoting that, because obviously in real life now you can never be too sure if your boyfriend is a zombie or not because of how crazy the world is getting, and I fully understand that. If you're waking up this morning and you think your boyfriend could possibly be a zombie, I support that, because there's a lot of evidence that points you in that direction because of how people are these days. But I want you guys to know this YouTube channel will forever and always be here to help you make sense of everything Descendants and Zombies, because I too loved the story of Descendants. I loved how Mal showed up from out of nowhere, and she ultimately went on to become one of the most revered VK kids of all time, and went on to achieve something far greater than Maleficent ever wanted her to achieve. How many of you remember the original Sleeping Beauty classic from 1958? I'm sure many of you are probably too young to remember that. I do remember the original Sleeping Beauty, and I've seen so many remastered versions of that over the years. Actually, I do have the original Sleeping Beauty somewhere in my DVD collection, remastered, and I've watched it 100 times over. Maleficent was a very interesting character, was she not? She was very devious, and she was one of those characters that was very annoying. So I think that Mal's portrayal of what Maleficent's daughter should have been was pretty accurate, but I think that these VK kids really put a spin on the original tales behind these villains, such as the evil queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was a beautiful movie. I remember, and I'm talking about the original classics. So I think that Disney really changed things up, and really changed things up for the better, because these stars have forever been inspirations. I think that Sophia Carson was really looking for opportunity to show up one day, and she obviously got that with Descendants. And I understand how everybody, misses the original cast, but I really do think that we have to give more of a chance to people like Freya Sky and Malachi Burton, who I think are doing a fabulous job with the Zombies franchise. And the really nice thing about Malachi Burton and Freya Sky is we don't know much about them. So as time goes on and more PR becomes available for Zombies, we're going to find out more about them. We're going to find out more about Freya Sky's interest in board games, which I've actually had an interest in for forever. I remember playing a board game called 13 Dead End Drive. It was made by Milton Bradley, and I was probably about 7 years old. And actually the other day at Chapters, when I was inside Chapters, I saw a remake of 13 Dead End Drive, which was one of my favorite board games of all time. And I'll tell you how big of a fanatic I was of board games. I had every board game you could think of, from Monopoly to Scrabble to 13 Dead End Drive to board games based off of movies like Dennis the Menace and Are You Afraid of the Dark, based off of TV shows, Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps. I was a really big fan of board games, and I remember how when Descendants' PR was released, they were doing Zombies PR around the same time, and Freya Sky was so honest about, her love for board games, her love for video games, and I think I can help Freya Sky out with that, because I was the biggest fan of board games like Monopoly and 13 Dead End Drive, which was a game that I forever and always cherished. Chicken Limbo was another one. Dream Phone was another one that a lot of girls used to like when I was growing up. Candyland. So I think that everything having to do with Descendants of Zombies triggers memories for everybody, because I was a big video game fan, big fan of Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. I think a lot of girls who watch these videos like Spyro the Dragon too, and are pretty fond of my video game collection there in the back. Every day, if I'm not recording a Descendants of Zombies video, I'm at the game store, because with me, what you see is what you get. And I just love, hearing about these stars and finding out something new about them every single day. I love how Freya Sky goes to McDonald's and she gets a plain cheeseburger. I love how she plays board games, because I spent a lot of nights, with my friends playing board games in our basement, which is actually one of the lyrics of the song Gold Is Gone from Freya Sky, which was actually a beautiful performance at the Worlds Collide Tour. If there was one performance at the Worlds Collide Tour that I ran away with something special and thinking was absolutely amazing and adorable, it was that song Gold's Gone. And I think that during that song, when we saw that emotional breakdown from Freya Sky, we knew then, I knew then she was lost in the moment. She never wanted this moment to end. She would forever and always cherish it, and it was just incredible seeing her explode with emotion, and seeing all these stars explode with emotion, because they were really lost on stage at the Worlds Collide Tour. This was a moment you could honestly see that Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky never ever wanted to end. This has been the greatest honor of my life. This has been the most fun that I've had in my entire existence as a commentator talking about Descendants and Zombies, because I think that there was a lot of criticism thrown the way of Descendants and Zombie stars, and I think it's completely unnecessary when you see people like Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky crying all the time, because I think Freya Sky is in that same conversation with Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande. Think about how Taylor Swift blew up overnight. I ultimately drew the conclusion that Taylor Swift was very overrated and she was overshadowing everybody's success, and then from out of nowhere here comes Ariana Grande off successive shows like Victorious and Sam and Cat. She was somebody who I fell in love with. So I think that if you can always put people like Ariana Grande up there for conversation with Taylor Swift, I think you can do the same thing with Freya Sky. She's obviously the next Disney pop star. She's in that line, and I think that the way we do it as fans is we're supposed to secure the futures of people who we love. And because I loved Ariana Grande, because I loved Taylor Swift, I secured their futures years ago, before many of you were ever born, and I'm looking forward to seeing the futures of Freya Sky and Malachi Burton, because I really do think they are going to do a fabulous job carrying on the legacies of people like Mila Manheim and Meg Donnelly. And I say they're going to do a fabulous job because they know how much this franchise means to Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim, because without zombies, I don't think we would have ever been introduced to people like Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim. They were fabulous as Zed and Addison. I've often referred to them as the power couple of Disney Channel of this new generation. Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez will always be in that conversation for being the most revered power couple in Disney Channel history. Then of this new generation, I think Zed and Addison are up there, because I've seen so many power couples kind of come and go on Disney Channel, like Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez, and of course Jake and Hannah Montana from the Hannah Montana TV series. We've seen some power couples too from animation, like Aladdin and Jasmine, Meg and Hercules. But I don't think we've ever seen a power couple as revered as what Zed and Addison ultimately became, because of the message of acceptance and how they didn't care what was wrong with each other, what each other were faced with, what everybody thought of them. All they wanted was to spend the rest of their lives together, which was really cool. And from every Zombies movie, we took away something special. And I think every Zombies movie touched our hearts, because we thought of ourselves in the same situations that Zed and Addison were in. I've often thought about, what would I ever do if my girlfriend was discovered to be an alien? There are so many crazy things that Descendants and Zombies has made us think about. But in all reality, I think Descendants and Zombies was getting us ready for something far greater in life. And I think a lot of people took something special away from Descendants and Zombies. The most important thing, I think, forever and always will be friendship, because we did see some really cool friendships happen from Descendants and Zombies, like Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, of course, Kylie Cantrell, Malia Baker, Kylie Cantrell, and Ruby Rose Turner. Guys, I will forever be heartbroken over the fact that Ruby is no longer a part of Descendants, because I think Ruby really offered something special to Descendants. She obviously exemplified kindness, and I don't think there was ever a heart that Ruby never touched. Every single opportunity Ruby had, she not only brought the best out of herself, but she always brought the best out of everybody she worked with. And just the atmosphere around Ruby was just so genuinely kind and just so happy to be a part of whatever she was a part of. And that was what really jumped out at me about Ruby Rose Turner and why I'm particularly fond of Ruby. For those of you who have been subscribed to this YouTube channel for a very long time, you know that I have the biggest crush in the world on Ruby Rose Turner, and I will forever be supportive of Ruby. I think that the criticism Ruby has received is completely unnecessary. I think how people like Freya Sky and Kylie Cantrell are not YouTubing themselves because they're afraid of what they're going to see is completely unnecessary when you have these beautiful performances coming off the Worlds Collide Tour, which were outstanding. These performances that Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky gave us at the Worlds Collide Tour, I think everybody who was a part of it took away something special from it. The emotion, how you felt like you were kind of in the same situations as they were from the lyrics of the song. Every moment that you shared with your friends about Descendants of Zombies. The thing about Descendants of Zombies is it's created some of the most beautiful friendships of all time. And I know, without even knowing who you are, that you are a good person and you are going to be friends with whoever you're friends with for a very long time. And it's because of Descendants of Zombies. I mean, through the music, through the powerful script, because oftentimes when the script is too powerful, they go to music to really bring it to life. And I think that Descendants is really the first musical. Descendants of Zombies are the first musicals that have really come off as true inspirations to a lot of people. Because I remember years ago when High School Musical and Hannah Montana were some of the most revered series in Disney Channel history. But I mean, did we ever really learn as much from High School Musical and Hannah Montana as we took away from Descendants of Zombies? Hannah Montana never got to the point where it had 781 million hours of stream time, and here we are talking about how Descendants of Zombies 15 years later has 781 million hours of stream time. That's incredible. That's really insane. And I think it deserves a profound amount of credit for each and every one of you really bringing this to life. I love watching Descendants. I love watching Zombies. I think they are beautiful movies. I think they have very promising futures. And for one to say that we're, reaching the dramatic conclusion of Descendants of Zombies, I'm really excited to see what the future has in store. What's inside of that vortex. What's next for Malachi Burton and Freya Sky, because of just how much of a response they've gotten now, taking the reins, if you would, into the future and riding the horses off into the sunset for Descendants of Zombies. The beautiful thing about Victor and Nova's characters are, we don't know anything about them. All we know is that Nova and Victor are in love, which is really cool. It's a really cool setup for the future of the Zombies franchise, because we know they're in love, but we don't know what they're going to be faced with by the time Zombies 5 happens. Because Zombies 5 is not suggested to come until 2028. And even if it doesn't happen until 2028, you guys will forever and always have me, and you will forever and always have this show, because even if it is 4 years between now and the release of Zombies 5, I will be here every day uploading Descendants of Zombies videos for each and every one of you, because this is such an honor for me to be able to talk about Freya Sky and Kylie Cantrell. I think what Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky really have to do is they really have to shy away from the criticism, and I will say more on this in an upcoming podcast on my show later on today. I think that what they have to do is they have to really shy away from the criticism and know that there are people out there in this world that do love them, because I saw thousands of people at every venue for the Worlds Collide Tour. Even though every venue was not sold out, there were thousands of people there. And they had the time of their life. And it was because of the contributions of Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky, who I can never say enough good things about. I think that these people who showed up at the Worlds Collide Tour showed up with the sole purpose of criticizing it, because they knew that the Descendants stars were some of the most popular of all time. And I give them a profound amount of credit for just showing up, making the best of every single opportunity, interacting with each and every one of you, and making this the most unforgettable experience of all of your lives. I, for one, would have loved the opportunity to crowd surf on the nights of the Worlds Collide Tour. I would have loved the opportunity to have been there the night of the finale of the Worlds Collide Tour, because there was so much emotion in Fort Worth, Texas that night. Everybody was so excited and felt so honored, had never felt so honored to be a part of something so special. I think that a lot of people just were really jealous of the profound success that the Worlds Collide Tour saw, and I understand that, because of course Kylie Cantrell, Freya Sky blowing up seemingly overnight. I think we really need to leave them alone, though. I think we really need to show them the respect they deserve, because, I mean, Freya Sky is only 15 years old. Can you imagine 10 years from now, a decade passes, and how popular Freya Sky is going to be? And she's going to be reflecting back on how powerful of an impact Zombies and Descendants had on her life. I mean, think about it. Every single night for 43 arena dates this summer, she was on stage, performing for a different crowd every single night, and every single crowd that she was ever in front of loved her dearly. So I think that as columnists on YouTube, we need to have the same respect for her that she's had for all of us. You know, what gives us the right to criticize Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky? You know, tell me that. I don't think anybody has the right to criticize somebody they don't know anything about. And I think that as time goes on, we're going to learn more about Freya Sky and her love for video games, her love for board games, her love for music, because obviously, of course, music and acting is a passion for people like Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky, and the quicker a lot of people who review this stuff on YouTube realize that, then better reviews will be compiled. I, for one, have tried to go out of my way to create better videos for you guys about Descendants of Zombies, because I think there is way too much criticism thrown the way of your favorite stars, and I've just wanted to be here, you know, supporting what you love. And whatever you love is what we'll talk about on this YouTube channel. The greatest honor of my life was discovering the power behind Descendants of Zombies. I know it's the reason why we're all brought together, why we're the best of friends. And I've always believed that some of the most beautiful friendships of all time have happened because of Descendants of Zombies. I mean, Descendants of Zombies will forever be faced with criticism. I do know that, and I do know that Zombies 5, in light of this new franchise in 2028, for sure Descendants of Zombies will see its fair share of criticism. I'm sure Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland next summer, I'll be reading so many reviews about Descendants of Zombies, it will really upset me. I will probably let the critics have it on a lot of videos that I'll be uploading. But I think that, you know, if you're criticizing a franchise, you really don't know the first thing about a franchise and how much of a profound impact it's had on thousands of lives. I mean, people have drawn inspiration from Descendants of Zombies and come away from these two franchises feeling more inspired than any franchise that I've ever had the privilege of covering. And it goes all the way back to the lateral part of the 1990s when Disney was just still producing animated classics like Darkwing Duck and Goof Troop and The House of Mouse and The Little Mermaid animated TV series, the Aladdin animated TV series. I've been a big fan of everything, but I've never seen Disney really come into its own because of the profound success of Descendants of Zombies. This is insane. This is an experience that I know I will never ever forget, and I know Descendants of Zombies will forever and always have a profound impact on my heart. I will forever love Kylie. I will forever love Ruby. And I can't even begin to put into words how appreciative I am of every single person who has ever showed up on this YouTube channel and subscribed. People are subscribing overnight. People are subscribing throughout the day. Wherever I am, I'm getting notifications all the time on my phone about how people are liking videos and subscribing. It's really cool. It's an immersive experience that I'm so proud to be a part of. I'm so honored to be your voice of Descendants of Zombies. I don't know if anyone else has ever been proclaimed to be the voice of Descendants of Zombies, but the cool thing was I didn't plan for this to happen. This YouTube channel just blew up overnight after I was uploading Dove Cameron videos and Kylie Cantrell videos as a support for them. And everybody just started supporting, you know, Kylie Cantrell, Dove Cameron, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. Guys, thank you so much for all the love and support you've shown this YouTube channel. I honestly don't know where I'd be without you guys, because it's one thing to upload videos filled with criticism of Dove Cameron and Kylie Cantrell and Ruby Rose Turner without giving them a chance, and I think that's what a lot of critics do. They don't really want to give them a chance, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of something special for what feels like forever, and I got that opportunity because of Descendants of Zombies. Guys, thank you so much for allowing me to be your voice of Descendants of Zombies for however long I've been the voice of Descendants of Zombies, for the better part of a decade. It's been a decade of memories, that we have created together, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Thank you guys so much. So I will be back later on this afternoon with another podcast with more having said about Descendants of Zombies, because I've got a lot to say where that goes. If you have not liked or subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to do that, because I have a lot to say where Descendants of Zombies goes. And I, for one, am incredibly excited to be talking about Descendants of Zombies for the foreseeable future, because this story is far from over. And don't worry, whatever you're going through, you will find your light. I know that sounds a lot like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, but because Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite video games of all time, both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I love quoting Cloud, and I love, reminding all of you that a dream is that much closer to you than sometimes we ever realize or tend to forget. Guys, keep watching Descendants of Zombies. Keep showing your love and support for it. I will be back later on today. Be kind to one another, because kindness really does go a long way in this world.